Today's goal is to hear this damn thing. Are we going to? You'll find out later. Okay, so we have a bit of work to do today. Sorry, it's been quite a while since, I've posted anything. It's been literally a month and a half since I've touched this truck or the audio system in this truck because of things like this and things like this. So, yeah, I've been quite a busy man. I work here at Sundown Audio, I deal with the office, and it gets quite busy, and then I got other things in my life. I've got children. Anyway, so here's the vehicle. I've got a mess here. I've got just a disaster of wires. I've kind of ran them back so people can still sit in here in the passenger seat if they wanted to. We're gonna go ahead and take this seat out. We're gonna take the back seat out. I'm probably gonna go ahead and take the center console area out as well. What's going on today is I'm going to go ahead and run my wires. Now some wires, if you notice, we've got RCAs, we've got a power wire right here too. Now because of the battery system and where I ran the power wire through the firewall, I ended up having my RCAs on the same side, which is not ideal. You don't want to do that because it can cause interference. What we're going to do, we're going to go ahead and pull the seats out, and we're going to run probably the RCAs through the center of the vehicle and keep the power wire on the outside. Zip tie everything, make it look pretty. And once that is done, I'm going to go ahead and get things hooked up here. Now, when we do this rear seat, I'm actually going to pull this out. If you remember, I got a seat lifter kit. I believe it's a 2.5 inch lifter kit. I'll check for you guys. So we're going to go ahead and lift the seats up today, but we have to remove them first before we can do that. The other thing we have going on today is the SDX 90.2. I'm going to sit it right there in that center hump as far into the dash as I can get it. I do have that plastic piece that goes underneath the dash. I may or may not keep that. We'll see how it interferes with the amplifier. I also have some power and ground wires that are going to go up through the middle and into the center console. That is for my power inverter. There's a whole compartment down below on the inside of that center console that doesn't get used. Perfect spot for a power inverter. And then I'm going to go ahead and where the toilet paper is is where the outlets for the power inverter will be. So there's that. So I'm gonna go ahead and get all this started. I think the first thing I'm gonna do is get this passenger seat removed and then see what it takes to take the center console out. I've never taken a center console out in one of these vehicles, so we'll see what that takes. And once we get that seat out, we'll take the rear seat out. Once the seats are out, then it'll be easier to get my wires run where I need them to be. I can kind of prep things how I want them prepped and see what I got to work with here. So that's where we're going to start first. All right, so it's time to go ahead and take this seat out. Looks like it is a 15 mil socket that'll take it. It's kind of an odd shaped nut that holds that in place, kind of like a star nut, but a 15 mil socket will take care of that for you. Should be 4 bolts. I gotta pop these caps off on all 4 corners, get the seat up, and it looks like we're gonna have to pull this side casing off and unbolt the seat belt bolts as well, because the seat belt is incorporated into the seat. So we'll go ahead and get that started. Oh. Okay, so this back bolt is actually a little bit smaller than a 15. It looks to be like a 12 or 13 or ½ inch. We'll have to see what that is now. All right, so this is actually an 11 mil. It's kind of an odd size. So we've got 15 over here, 11 over here. Hopefully it's an 11 in the back or a 15 over there on that back corner. I guess we'll find out. That one was also an 11. So we've got 11s in the back, 15s in the front. And now I'm gonna go ahead and work on getting these trim panels out of here. I'm not gonna show you on camera. It's pretty simple. You just pop the clips, pull things out. If there's bolts, you take them out. And we've got the seat belt bolt we're gonna have to pull out, which is right in the middle of this trim panel on the inside. Once this is out, I can get the seat out. All right, after further looking into it, the seat belt assembly, it has like an airbag situation attached to it, and in order to unplug the airbags, it's always common practice to remove all your grounds, or remove the batteries, I should say. It's going to take a lot to remove my batteries. So what I found is if you take this little panel off right here on the seat, your seat belt goes through here, and there's a bolt right here. You take that out, comes out the seat. Much easier, much faster solution. I'm gonna go ahead and do that first. I don't feel like messing with airbags. I'm sure you guys don't want to either. All right, so this just pulled out of here. I took that bolt out, we're good to go. I think I should be able to pull this seat out. There's probably some electrical that needs to be unplugged underneath. Let's take a look. Let's take a look at that real quick. Oh. Okay, so I think I got the electrical unplugged under the back seat. My seat does not have airbags, so that makes it easy. If the seat had airbags, you definitely would have to undo your batteries. Again, anytime you have to unplug an airbag wire, you should unhook your battery, because things happen. The worst, best case scenario, nothing happens. Then a lot of times, if you unplug your airbag wires and you plug them back in, sometimes it'll do something to the computer system and I'll have to get reset on the airbag side of things. Worst case scenario, airbags go off, and that gets expensive and it's dangerous. So anyway, let's go ahead and pull this seat out. There we go. Hey, look, a lighter. It's not even mine. I don't smoke anymore. So hey, it works. Score. Oh shit, look, another lighter. Oh my God, another lighter. I think this vehicle belonged to a smoker. That's cool. We got some lighters. Too bad I don't smoke anymore. All right, so it's a bit of a mess in here. We'll go ahead and clean this up and then see what it takes to take the center console out and keep going. All right, so it looks like the center console bracket sits underneath of the seat bracket, and basically the seat sits on top of the bracket for this. So on the other side, it's the same way. So I need to remove the driver's seat now just to get the center console out. What I think I'm gonna do is undo the bolts, just kind of lift the seat up and pull the center console out as best I can. But I do want to get this removed so I can get my wires ran how I want. Unfortunately, I gotta take the damn driver's seat out now, but there's a lot more going on driver's seat wise with the wires. So again, I'm just gonna kind of lift it out of place and set it back down so I can get the center console out. And don't feel like filming all that. Sorry guys, I don't have a film crew, but I'm gonna go ahead and just do that and then we'll come back and take a look at it. All right, got the seat out, got the center console out. So if you look, I just undid the bolts for the driver's seat, pulled it up, moved it out that way, and I was able to get the center console out. So now that I got all this out, I still need to get the rear seats out, which shouldn't be too hard. But I'm just taking a look here, just looking at my mess. So you see the STX amp, it's a little guy right there. In this area, I want to put a board or something underneath of the carpet, that way I can fasten that amp permanently to probably right up in this area. Again, I've got a piece of plastic that comes up around here, and I may have to cut it or do something that way the amp fits nice and snug up in that area. But if you look, it'd be nice and out of the way. And I don't have anything that sits between here and here. So they'll still leave that area as bare. Now I've got, let's see here, this wire, I've got some 8 gauge Sundown wire here. This is going to get run up through here and into the center console for my power and ground for my power inverter. And I also want to run my RCA wires somewhat in the same area, so I have to make sure my power and ground are not near the RCAs, because the big 0 gauge power wire is going to get run through the side over here. So possibly down along this passenger inner seam right here, I'll probably go ahead and do my RCA wires, and they'll get ran through the back for the amplifier right there. Now if you look right there, there's already some RCAs. That's for the SDX amplifier. So those are just basically, it's just a 3-foot set that goes from that stereo and down through there. So just long enough to get to that amp. So I'm gonna go ahead and just take a look around, see what I want to do next. I need to clean, it's a mess in here. Maybe go ahead and do the back seat next, I'm not sure. We'll figure it out. All right, so I went ahead and I moved all the wires, made them, just got them out of the way, and I pulled up the carpet. What I wanted to look at before I start taking all this shit out of the way, I wanted to see where I can mount that SDX amplifier. Now, what I was thinking about doing was putting a board right here, a piece of wood. I could screw the amp down too. But I really liked the amp sitting up a little bit higher if possible. And I can. There is a piece of plastic here. It's part of the air duct system. Now below it most likely is a computer, so I have to be careful, but there's a piece of plastic and there's nothing directly right behind it. And I can screw my SDX amplifier as long as I have maybe, we'll say 1-inch self-tapping screws should fit just fine right inside that piece. And after feeling it, doesn't feel like it's, I just have to be careful. There is air that runs through here, but I like the fact that I can go ahead and just screw that to that and it's up out of the way. And just don't make a mess out of it if you're going to do this, guys. You know, don't cut any holes. This is your air. It's what feeds all the air to the back, under the seats and everything, to the people in the back. I'm going to go ahead and screw a little screw to it. It's not going to hurt anything. We'll be fine. And it'll keep that amp out of the way. Now, the other thing I wanted to look at was how I was going to run my RCA wires to the back. Now, after looking into this a little bit further, looks like I shouldn't have too much trouble. We've got a lot of padding in the way, but all this air stuff, all the air duct work does move. So I can run my RCAs, I'm thinking up through here, down the center, and into the back. Now here's one thing you want to keep in mind. Every once in a while, if you're going to run RCAs, you're going to come across wires. Now, if there's power and ground running through these wires, there's a possibility of it causing interference with your RCAs. So one thing you can do is, if you know you're going to run some wires through, is firstly, you want to be perpendicular with the runs. That way there's the least amount of contact. Secondly, where you have your runs cross over, you can take these wires and your RCAs, if you wanted to, and wrap them in aluminum foil where they cross, and sometimes that'll help with any type of interference. And that's what I'm going to do when I run them. I'm going to wrap this whole run in aluminum foil, and then maybe wrap my RCAs also in aluminum foil right here at this joint. So that way I can run everything straight back. Okay, so I got the back seats taken out. Kind of a pain, but not too hard, just time consuming because you gotta get into small spots with your wrench. They're all 18mm bolts. And yeah, so I got them out. So I had to lift, you have to lift up and pull out. And since I'm by myself, I went ahead and I removed, there's two bolts, two 10mm bolts in here that hold the passenger, or the left and right seat together. So that way I can remove them one at a time, make it a little easier on myself because it is heavy. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull them out. Then I'll be able to view my playing field, maybe clean it up a bit. It is dirty in here. There's a ton of change and lighters and french fries as normal. When you remove seats, that's usually what you find. Change, lighters, french fries. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull these bad boys out real quick. Okay, now that we got the seat completely out, we can see what we're working with here. We're going to get back to doing the seat lifters later on. I need to run the wire next so I can get it all back there under the carpet before I put the lifter kit in. That way I can see what I'm doing. I think next what I need to do is just clean up my mess a little bit more, get tools out, get bolts out. I got to get this carpet, probably going to fold it all the way over to the driver's side because I'm going to focus mostly on passenger side and running things up the center. So that's next. I'm going to go ahead and do and take care of all that here next. Okay, so I've got my RCAs that go to the rear amplifier ran back there. Let's show you what we did here. We brought them through under the carpet, under everything, zip tied everything in place. And so we went through or underneath all this stuff here, ran it across this bottom ledge until we got to right here. Now right here, you have to remember there is a bracket that holds the seat and center console in place. So we don't want to cross from here down. We don't want to cross this section because it'll get messed up from the bracket. So what I did was I brought it up and up through here. Now this right here, if you remember me saying, this is some aluminum foil. This just helps with shielding. If there's any interference that can be caused, this will help a little bit. So it brings up all the way through the middle, out and up over the rear end right there. Now if you look, I also have a speaker wire that ran with it. So the speaker wire also has signal that runs through it, and you don't want to run that near a big power wire. Same thing with your RCAs. So what I did, and that's the speaker wire that goes from the passenger side VEX 8 speaker. So it comes up through and runs alongside with the RCAs all the way through. Next, I gotta do the power wire, the big 0 gauge power wire. We're gonna run that on the side here along with this blue wire, which is for my remote wire to turn on the rear amplifier. So that will be next. Okay, we got our power and remote wires ran, zip tied all up and good. This vehicle actually has a track right here with no wires in it that our 0 gauge wire fits directly in, so that is amazing. Then the blue wire for remote wire, that also runs back here. Comes through and runs up the track again, up through here, and bam, and I have the remote wire crossing over and up through there. So everything will meet somewhere in the center over here, and as soon as we build our enclosure and everything and figure out where the amp's going, then we'll be able to put all that in place. Next thing I'm going to do is go ahead and clean up my mess again, bring that carpet back up where it needs to be, and then we will start the process of doing the seat lift kit. Okay, I got the carpet back up, and here is the seat lift kit. It does not come with instructions. It's fairly self-explanatory to the most parts, but you have to kind of figure out which parts work. So for instance, this piece here, it's got a hole, but there's a notch here, so that will go in a place where you see one bolt next to another, and so on and so forth. Just got to figure out where all these kits go, or where all these lifters go, and then start putting the bolts in. One thing I do know is that you have to take their bolts and run them up through before you can bolt or set this piece down in the hole. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to get their bolt through. So run their bolts through first, then set these in place. Then you can sit the seat on top. But I think I'll go ahead and see, again, no instructions. So I got to figure out which way which way I need to go about this. Probably go ahead and put those on, maybe bolt them in place first and then get the seat on, which it's got to be kind of a pain in the butt with the bolts just kind of wiggling. I don't know. I mean, I guess I could go ahead and put these on the seats, then put them on. I don't know. What do you guys think? Maybe I should put them on the seats first. But if I do it on the seats first, then I still have to figure out where all these go first. Then transfer that to the seats, then put the seats in. Maybe that's what I should do. We'll see what happens. I think I got them where they need to be. I'll be honest with you guys. They really need to give some instructions. They make a really good product, but they may lack in instructions. Basically, I got a box with peanuts full of these pieces of metal and those bolts, and that's the arrow, and you know, that's what you get. So again, I think I got it all in place. These ones right here, which are an odd shape, they kind of go along with that curvature up there, so I felt like that's where that goes. Still not 100% sure. Then you got some weird stuff going on. So first and foremost, there are bolts that stick out of here, like these little guys that don't get used. There's nothing that goes to these. I'm thinking about possibly cutting these off. There's another one up there. There's a big one right here that in my vehicle is not being used for anything. And then I've got this, and then I've got an extra one of these. So I don't know what the extra one would be for. I'm just not sure. So just need to figure that out. So yeah, there's that. Still trying to figure this out. I may go ahead and cut these, and the reason why I'm saying that is because that fits on there very well. However, trying to get a wrench in here may be a pain in the butt, so I'm thinking about swapping those out. I can put this one here, that way it's open to the front and I can get my wrench in there. But I still would have to cut that out first. So not 100% here, guys. I'm just trying to figure it out. Oh, by the way, I measured the distance here. It's exactly 2 inches. So this is exactly a 2-inch lift for your seat. So I'm gonna still play around with these, figure it out, and hopefully next time I turn the camera back on, I'm further than this. So as I was messing with the seat lifter kit here, first and foremost, check this out. I did go ahead and I cut these extra bolts out that aren't needed, honestly. So I did it on this one, and I did it on that one that was back there, right there. So they're not needed, and it makes it a whole lot easier for me to turn the seat lifter kit like this. That way I can actually get to the bolt from the front instead of trying to go on the side. Also, one thing, I did watch a video. There was a guy who did do this kit, and he also had problems just like I did because there's no real instructions. What he did, if this piece that's on the side right here, he made this flat bar on the outside instead of the inside like I'm going to do. I'm going to put it on the inside. Now, I know if I put it on the outside, it'll look nicer because it'll cover, basically you swap the one that's over there to the one that's over here and vice versa. It'll look nicer, it'll be a flat panel. But it's almost impossible to get to it from the side or the back because there's a slope right here. So I'm going to keep it like this, so that way I can get to the bolt right here on the side. I really don't care how it looks, as long as it does what it's supposed to do. Also, before I go ahead and do these seats, I was like, oh crap, I need to go ahead and run my ground wire, which I totally forgot about, honestly. So I cut a hole, and we're going to use the same grommets that we were using in the front. These neoprene waterproof grommets, and I have my ground wire I just ran right here. I ran out of Tech Flex. I just have the standard, I forget what you call it, just shielding, plastic shielding that you would run through here. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that next. I drilled my hole the right size for my grommet, and I'm gonna go under the vehicle and drill my hole into the frame. The reason why I'm doing this instead of just going to a bolt right here is because the frame will give you path of least resistance. It's a stronger part of the vehicle. These bolts, depending on which one you go to, aren't always going straight to the frame. Sometimes they just go to a body panel, which then get welded to the frame or sometimes bolted to the frame. And I'm not a big fan of using those. So if I can go to the actual frame of the vehicle easily by drilling a hole using a grommet and running my wire out there, I'm gonna go ahead and do that first. That's a much better option. So let's go ahead and do that. All right, now that I got that hole up there done and my wire through, I now have to drill my hole through the frame. And once you drill the hole, you can take your wire wheel here and you want to scuff up the metal. That way you have a nice connection. I've got a big washer, lock washer, and nut to go to the bolt. And let's go ahead and do that. All right, so these frame rails are very strong metal, and it took me a while to get that hole drilled with my cheap Harbor Freight drill bits. Literally took me probably 30 minutes to get that drilled. So I do recommend a nice, expensive, good drill bit set to drill through those frame rails, because good Lord, they are very hard to drill through. Anyway, we got that done. So I'll go ahead and get my wire brush wheel on the drill and clean that area up. That way we can run the bolt through and the washer and everything on there. Okay, well, we got these seat lifters in there. They're all in place. I decided to put them in place in the vehicle first after just further thinking into it and how I want to wrench these in. I felt it was easier just to put them in the vehicle rather than put them on the seats first. One thing I want to show you guys, if you're going to do this kit, is you need to, if you're going to leave this cover in here, you need to cut out a notch for the seat belt assembly, because this all raises along with it. And then I also, which I'm not sure if it needed it, but I cut out a little notch right here because this came out. I felt it would get in the way of the seat bracket, so I just cut out right there too. So I'm going to do these in parts. I'm going to do the driver's side first, and then we'll do the passenger side. Also, let me show you this. On the backs of the seats, they give you these metal clamps right here, because you also have to extend this back latch area down as well. So, and they give you the bolts and everything for that. And then I put the plastic damper in that comes from the factory that originally was in this piece. I put it in this piece right here. That keeps it tighter, and it keeps you from hearing a weird vibration and squeaky noise in the back with the back seats metal touching metal. So it's a plastic piece that sits in there. And I did that for both sides. So we're gonna go ahead and put this seat in first. It's the biggest, should be, I think, the hardest one to put in. So I'll get those in first, and then we'll go do the passenger side. Tell you what, this ain't easy. It's real bulky, it's not light, and just awkward. That's a good way to put it. No idea if I'm where I'm supposed to be or what. Side note, the driver's side actually does not bolt to the floor at all. It just bolts to the passenger side. Well, I'm out of breath, sorry guys. The driver's side seat bracket right here actually does not bolt to the floor of the vehicle. There's holes that look like they should, but they don't. So they actually bolt up to the passenger side. So your passenger side is what bolts to the floor. Then this bracket bolts to the passenger side with 10mm bolts. There's just 2 of them. So this is just free flowing at the moment until I get the driver's side in. Yeah, looks like my bolts line up pretty good. I just gotta tighten them up and then get that seat belt bolt around the top and bring it in over here. And it looks pretty good. Yeah, it looks pretty good. I guess I'll go ahead and tighten this bad boy up real quick, that way it doesn't fall. I got that seat all in and bolted up, and moved my wires kind of out of the way. I still got my ground wire just raveled up here. Power wire, hopefully it's not in the way. Maybe, maybe not. Let me see. You know, I think I might bring it up here just to get it out of the way a little bit there. There we go. Then I'll just drop it back down when I'm done. Seat belts are hooked up. Everything's good. It all went together a little too well, in my opinion. A little worried about this one. This side here is a little sketchy. There's a lot more bolts involved. There's a lot more stuff going on here. So we'll see how it goes. And I gotta get it lined up with this guy so I can get those bolts to go through on there as well. So let's see how this goes. Thankfully, this guy is lighter. Oh crap, you know what I didn't do? I need to change this piece out, so we'll be right back. I guess while we're here, I'll show you how to take care of this part. So you have to pull this plastic piece out, pretty simple. Then you're gonna take the one that comes with the kit, slide it up in there. You're gonna need a hammer, which I need to grab real quick. Before you hammer that in place, it's probably easier if you slide this plastic piece in the new piece here first. It all kind of clips together with these little notches. And then you're gonna line up these notches. A little bit more. And that's lined up pretty good. Then they give you these here nuts and bolts. You'll stick that bolt through that bad boy there and put your nut on. Oh, of course that wants to fall. Same with the other side here. Slide it up through. And it is an 11 millimeter nut on top. There you go. Well, that's on there. So now this should slide up. It goes right here in this notch right here. And again, this plastic piece right here is just to, so you don't hear that metal on metal contact. Sometimes it gets squeaky or it gets a little funny sounding. So we're gonna go ahead and put that right there. And we should be good to go. And hopefully this all lines up like that one did. That one lined up too good. Again, it just seems weird. So let's see how this works. So the goal is to set this piece here on this latch right here, and hopefully it'll just fall into place. That one fell into place way too easy, but I really only had to line up the 2 bolts on the end because there's no bolts here to line up. This one, there are 4 bolts to line up, so let's see how that works. Thankfully this one's a little bit lighter than the other one was. So I'm going to focus on getting it in that latch first. Oh. All right. So that plastic piece fell out. Well, part of it. That's awesome. I'm not going to replace that. So it's halfway broken. Whatever. It is in place though, I can see, so that's good. Let's see, now let's get our bolts lined up, because they're not lined up at the moment. Yeah, this one's definitely harder than the other one. My goodness, a little ridiculous if you ask me. So this one's lined up. This one is lined up now. Now I need to get this guy lined up somehow. Okay. Alright, it is all lined up. Kind of a bitch. I gotta lift this piece up and get it to meet up with this piece and drive those bolts through. But I'm gonna go ahead and get all this bolted up and get working. All right, so we got the seat lift kit in now. I got these 2 pieces bolted together. It was kind of a pain because you have to hold one end up with your arm and get the bolt in at the same time. Sometimes I wish we had 3 arms, you know. But let's go ahead and put these down. All right. And I think I just broke the other plastic piece over there. Awesome. Yeah, I guess this is what happens, you know. Hopefully I don't get any squeaky sounds, but they're in there really tight. I don't think I'm gonna get any squeaky sounds out of that metal to metal contact. So I just gotta clean this up. It's a bit of a mess here, but we got a lot of lift. I don't have a tape measure on me yet to measure this, but it is obviously a whole lot. There's a whole lot more room here to go. When it comes time to build the enclosure, we will start taking some measurements. I think I'm going to go down to Ben from Extraordinary Audio, one of our dealers out there, and see what he's got for us. He's got some cool designs that he works with on these trucks. But again, we did a lift kit. Now let me explain why we're doing the lift kit. So sure, with the stock seats and seat height, I can easily fit a pair of 8s under here. It's not really an issue. What my biggest problem was I wanted a place to put things other than an amplifier and some subs. And I wanted a compartment to go along with it. So my feeling, here's what I felt like doing. So in this area, we'll have the 2 woofers, and then above that, because we did the 2-inch lift, we'll have room to set the amplifier. and it'll still be hidden from the seat. Now on this side, there'll be a whole compartment right there where I could put my tools, ratchet straps, tow straps, all sorts of stuff, things that you would normally have in a truck. And that's the reason why I went with the seat lift, so I could have more room to put the things I wanted to put, rather than just have a box with an amplifier. That's why I did that. All right, so next on the list, I'm gonna go ahead and get the STX 90.2 mounted right in that area over there. And like I was telling you earlier, there's a piece of trim that comes up over here. I may have to cut some of that so the amp slides in there just fine. And right on the other side of this is that duct work I told you I'm just gonna screw the amp to. Again, it's not gonna hinder anything. It's not gonna mess with the integrity of the airflow or any of that stuff. It's just a piece of plastic. It's not doing anything other than moving some air. So that's the next step. I also need to run a remote wire. I have to tap off that blue wire that I ran under here earlier. So that'll be for the STX 90.2. As you can see, the RCAs are already there. My power and ground wire are already here. I just had to run them in place, and we'll get that amp set up here next. So here's the power inverter that I received. I actually got this for Christmas by my lovely fiance. So thank you, Crystal, very much for that. So this is a cool unit. It's about the only unit that'll fit inside my center console without me having to do any crazy business. So it's a good size. And it comes with this controller as well that you bring up to your dash for an on-off switch. It's got your big power, big ground right there. And it's got 2 AC outputs. And this is also where you plug in your remote, and there's a USB attachment as well. It comes with these wires, but I'm not going to use these because I've ran my own wires, so no worries there. So now I have to go ahead and install this in the center console. I'll show you how I do that. So here's my center console, and let me show you what I planned on doing, and I just realized my plan is not going to work as planned. Anyway, so here's the whole thing. There's a compartment right here, and there's also a compartment here inside this seat. So let's go ahead and bring this up real quick. So you have a seat, and then you also have another compartment right here. Now this compartment I never really planned on using, and it'd be good for like firearm storage or something else. It does have a lock right here, but again, I don't plan on using it. That's why I thought it'd be a great place to put this power inverter. However, as I'm looking into it now, which you really should look into things before you go buying stuff, but this has a ledge right here, and I was planning on putting it this way, like this, inside there, but now that this ledge is in the way, it comes up over. So one of my options would be, well, one option is to put it like this, but then your power inputs get in the way. Now I could, in theory, since this is about 1 inch thick, I could cut out a notch right here, cut out a notch right here, and just kind of shove it in there horizontally. That is one option. The other option would be, since I can probably cut this lip off right here, I thought about maybe just cutting this whole thing out. But if you look under here, there's a metal bracket, which is for the bracket to hold the whole thing in place. So what I'm thinking about is cutting just this notch off right here. It'll bring it down just enough to where it clears the seat from coming down over it. It'll be on an angle, which is fine. Again, it's not going to be, it's not like we're going to be using it much. So it'll be on an angle, and then my AC outputs are actually going to come out somewhere around here. I might just pull this piece out right here and put it out there. I'm not sure yet. We'll figure it out. I did buy these end pieces. This is a little socket outlet, and I was planning on putting it when you open up your cup holders. I was going to probably put them right back there, so you'll see this. So open up cup holders, boom, right there. We'll see if that's a good option or not. Like I said, I think I'm going to go ahead and angle this like this, cut this notch out so it has enough clearance so this can still shut. I'm going to do some measurements and see what I come up with. Look, I know this is not audio related, but it's part of the build. I figured I'd show you guys anyway. So anyway, I had to cut a whole lot more than expected. So check this out. Had to cut in here and had to cut in here. And what I did was, so this is the factory carpet, that's factory carpet. So I just laid some more speaker carpet inside these pieces that I cut out, just to kind of make it look a little nicer. And this fits just like this. So we will put this in here. Like a glove, guys, like a glove. There we go, just like that. And so my power and ground will come out of here and we'll go to these two terminals here, and my AC will come out of there. And I'll have one AC outlet here and one on the other side. So now I have to cut these outlets out, and they look like this. They're square outlets. I'm gonna have to extend this wire, but that's what they look like. And it'll just sit right in there, just like that. And that's the next step. And again, I know this has nothing to do with Sundown audio or audio related, but why not? Why not show you what I'm doing to the whole damn truck? Yeah, there you go. All right, so we got the outlets all in here. So this one went out. This one went really well. My drill slipped on this one and ended up moving it about 1/4 inch to the left and down. So they're not even, but you know what, who cares? Who's gonna see it anyway? Oh, except for you guys. Anyway, there's the outlets, pretty cool. And the wires drop down here. So now all I gotta do is extend these wires out, and it will use one of these bad boys right here. And it plugs right into the inverter on the other side. Inside there, everything's hidden. And if I ever need AC power, I now have it in my vehicle. So once I get this all wired up, I have to then bring it into the vehicle and run the power and ground to the inverter, since that's already in the carpet. And I also need to run the remote wire that goes to the inverter. That way I've got a switch on my dash. Now, once I get that in the vehicle, I can then put my seats back in and drive this thing away, because can't do much. This has to go in first, and then your passenger and driver's seat go in out on top of these brackets right here. So the sound system, for the most part, is done except for the subwoofers, and that will be another video. I also have a little special upgrade to the electrical system. We'll show you that here next. That'll probably be the next video, is the little extra bit I have to the electrical upgrade. And at some point we'll build a subwoofer box for the back seat with a compartment in it, and just gotta find time. This is taking forever to do, but I'm a busy guy, and you guys know I'm just that busy. Anyway, I'm gonna finish this up and get working on it. When I'm done with it and everything's cleaned up, I'll show you what it looks like. It's super windy outside, but I got the vehicle outside playing. Let's go ahead and take a look at the interior. Got all the panels in. Let's go see what this bad boy looks like. Hopefully it's not too windy from a microphone. So the amp's just chilling in here right now. Again, we're gonna do that box. I threw a subwoofer in here just for the hell of it. I've got a little LCS-10 in there. My goodness, I did not realize how single LCS-10 sounded like, but it's a lot of output for like a $100 woofer. It's amazing. So that's just sitting in there, and seat goes down like that. I think we got about 11 inches to play with down here for when we put the box in there. So there's that. Here's your doors. There we go. Oh yeah, and we got the outlets. Got the AC outlets right here, one there and one there, just in case we need some AC output. We got it. There's the box just chilling there. Again, this is just temporary. Doesn't that look sexy, guys? So here's the deal. I know I deadened the doors, right? I deadened the doors, and the door panels I did not deaden, and now I regret it. So the next video, one of the next videos, we've got second skin coming on board. We're gonna pull these panels off. We're gonna spray the insides with second skin Spectrum spray, And I'm also going to put some foam panels in there too, because these doors vibrate like crazy. Dude, these bad boys move so loud. There's no need for a rear stage, guys. Front stage is all you need when you got Vex series speakers. So there's that. Coming up in the next couple videos, we've got MechMan alternators. They sent us an alt for this bad boy. We're going to throw that into here probably the next couple weeks, whenever I can find time. But she's done for the most part. The only thing we really got left is to build that box, and this system's complete. So we're gonna go ahead and take the door panels off next video, redo those on the inside, get them dead and get them sounding pretty good. Like I said, it sounds amazing, but I've got a lot of vibration. Oddly enough, the door locks vibrate like crazy. Look at all the movement, look at all the play we have in that door lock. That's all you hear, is that thing rattling like crazy. So let's go ahead and listen to this. I spoke with Cal Olson, also known as Ill Prophet. He's got a bunch of music on SoundCloud. You got to check him out. Let's go ahead and turn this bad boy up. That's enough. You guys take care. Enjoy the videos. Got a couple more videos to go, and this bad boy's done.